As always, thank you to the members of the channel. Subscribe to my second channel. Link is in the description. Welcome back to another video. Today is going to be a big one for the channel because we are finally taking a look at a 2025 item. We'll be talking about this track pack. We'll be talking about the brand new motorized duck, easily the best new item of the new lines, and everything in 2025 from Mattel. And once again, thank you to the person who is a member of my channel, a member of my Discord, and just one who enjoys the videos. He sent me this duck free of charge from the United Kingdom. So a big thank you to that man. And also a quick update on Colin. As you can see, it is daytime. I'm filming at a much better time to get better lighting. And so we really see how gorgeous this Colin prop is. All of the coloring looks so much better at this time of day. You get to see that beautiful green. I did put the ropes on properly, so he is in the best condition of that he can be right now. I did get the hook on Colin as well. The way I explained in my previous video was so wrong. It is so much easier than you think. I just was not using my brain. I was tired. It was a long day. I just was not thinking clearly. So one of my members in my Discord let me know how to get the hook on. It's so easy, so simple. There's no untying, no cutting. Very straightforward. So glad we got the hook onto Colin. He is now complete, with the exception of those 3 miscellaneous pieces, which I don't know what they do. Anyways, as you can see, I did put another face on Colin, this one with his eyebrow raised. And I am going to get different eye decals. As you can see, these kind of peel off just because they've been on his eyes for so long. So I think I'll just take these off, buy some black circle stickers. You know, you can get a massive pack of them on Amazon. And so I guess I'll just get some brand new ones on there because these ones keep peeling off pretty much every 5 to 10 minutes whenever I fix them. They're just so old, you know, they're just black stickers, so no big deal. And then I will also get some sticky tack to really help me keep these faces on better. So this is a quick Colin update. He will be in the background of this duck review, and so enjoy that. He will be in the background of many videos to come. But without further ado, we are going to be taking a look at the 2025 motorized duck. As you can see, it does say 2025. Here are the other engines on the back side of the box. Thomas, Percy, Fat James, and Fat Gordon. Not going to even recognize that engine. And then we have Duck. So it's going to be very fun and interesting to finally see what this new line and what these engines are all about. So let's get the tripod out. Actually, before we get Duck out of the box, let me go over this track pack. So as I said, anything all engines go is thrown away. So this is just a basic Thomas & Friends motorized track pack at this point. So let's go over the positives. The positives are the layout, the amount of switches. There are 3 to 4 different versions of a layout you can make with this track pack. I like this one the best. I love the fact that we get long stretches of straight track under the bridges, through the tunnel, and so it feels like a railway. I love it. I love the amount of switches you get. I will actually give props to the track itself, not the colors. The colors are really ugly. That is for sure a negative. But the way the tracks connect are very sturdy. You know, it's very even. It's just a solid connection. They do also work really well on carpet, even switches. I have no problem changing the points. Again, my carpet may be just better for this track compared to other people's carpet, just depends. So, you know, it works on hardwood floor and carpet nicely, so that's a plus as well. I like that they do give you a buffer, even though it could use some more detailing. It's just kind of one color, really no design on there. But again, it's just nice to give you a buffer. I actually do like these pieces, these random bumps and hills in the track. It creates for some cool shots with the engines going over them and the rolling stock. So there's always good variety, and this is for sure an example of that. And then I also enjoy the terrain. I just like that we get different angles, different, I guess, levels to this simple track pack. This was only $30, so you do get a lot with it. And I like that this is very versatile. can be a tunnel, a bridge, a crossing on top. You know, for example, if I could create another loop using this track and have a nice intersection on top. And then this piece is kind of, I think it's pretty cool. I know it's just the top to the bin, but I love that it's a three-way switch. There's some elevation to it, so the tracks have to go up to it. I just think it's, I mean, yeah, I definitely think a lot more highly of this pack than I thought I would. But with that being said, the track is very ugly. I don't know why we need this neon green. This is a green you would find on like a Nerf gun or something. Same with this orange. So these two colors do not belong here. Nothing about motorized Thomas & Friends or just Thomas & Friends in general should be neon green or orange. Like, these colors do not belong in any Thomas merchandise ever when it comes to track. That is for sure, right? Like, Thomas has always had the classic blue colors. So, you know, the Tomy track works in my opinion, but this does not. Now, the gray is okay. You know, whatever color you want to call this, just the dark gray. I think it's all right. I think it's much better than any of these wacky colors. I much prefer this. Like, when I see Thomas & Friends, I think of this blue. And so even if they made the track this color, that would have been dope too. If all of the track was this blue, that'd be pretty cool. I would not be complaining at all whatsoever. And then also the track kind of just feels cheap, like when you pick up the individual pieces. And I also think it's hilarious that they included a rerailer piece. Like, how pathetic do you think kids are that they cannot put four-wheel rolling stock or four-wheel engines on this track, right? That this is not N-scale model railroading. We do not need a rerailer for these big, simple trucks and engines. Like, okay, now it is time to get Duck out of the box. We have Colin in the backdrop. That is amazing. I have Colin the Crane just chilling in my train room. Just, yep, that's amazing. So let's get this Duck out of the packaging. I am very excited to open him up and get him on the track, running, pulling my Tomy rolling stock. We're also going to take a look at this red wagon here. And so I have no idea how I should get this Duck open. How do you open this brand new packaging? I don't want to tear up the box. We have some holes down here. That could be a clue. Yeah, man, a grown-up struggles to open a packaging meant for ages 3 and up. All right. Yep, we get it. I guess I can try this. I want to save the packaging. I don't like when you just buy a toy and you just throw away the packaging immediately, you know? Like, how do I do this? I don't know. So I made it easy on myself and just took some scissors and snipped along the edge of the plastic to where the box connects. So now I can just take Duck out and keep the cardboard intact. The only thing cut is the plastic. Here is the brand new Duck. Let's just throw the packaging off to the left here. And wow, the 2025 Duck. This face is, yeah, that's a good Duck face. You know, whether you like CGI Thomas & Friends or not, this is a good CGI Duck face, especially by Mattel and Fisher-Price in the year 2025. This is the best you are going to get from them. I also love Duck's funnel. That's probably one of my favorite things. I love how tall it is. Nice and accurate. The biggest gripe right away is the fact that the coupling is so long. I don't know why they did this. Do you see how far away the two buffer sets are? Duck's back buffers and then the Troublesome Trucks buffers. Or just this wagon. Doesn't even have a face. But look at that gap. That is insane. Why is the coupling so long? Like, does nobody gripe about this? Because that is ugly. I don't know why they do that. I think if you were to have a long train of wagons, it would look so awkward because, I mean, they're just so far away from the back of the engine. I really don't know why they did that. There's really, I mean, the longer the piece is, isn't it easier for it to break? I mean, wouldn't it be much more sturdy if it was smaller, shorter? I don't know. I don't know why they did this. So that's definitely a big negative. Another negative is the fact that the back buffer beam is unpainted completely, just left black, which is pretty lazy in the year 2025. Lack of effort back there on the buffers. The coal load is, a bit too big. It kind of looks awkward because the cab is too tall. I think that's what we all can agree on. The cab is too tall on Duck, and so the coal load kind of has to compensate and be bigger. And so you kind of either like it or not. It's one of those things I don't think looks the best, the coal load, as a result of the bigger cab, height-wise. But actually, let's get Duck on the track here and get a better angle. So even though I was just being negative about this model, I still do think it's a really good Duck. Just having him on the track, he looks fantastic. One thing I will say is that his front cab windows sticker was not put on the best. As you can see, his left window is clipped off by his tanks, but it's not the model's fault. And then one other thing is that you can see this piece of plastic right here above his railings. It's not fully pushed down. It should look like that, but mine is not in all the way, which again, not the model's fault, just a production flaw, I'm guessing. So that's a bummer, but not a big deal. Looking at Duck's front, a very nice face. Now, one thing I have noticed, we react to videos on my live streaming channel during live streams. We have reacted to people's videos and reviews of these new engines. One thing we all noticed is that Mattel and Fisher-Price have had printing issues with many of the recent years of merchandise. When it comes to motorized or, push-along engines, some of the face printings aren't the best. Like, for example, some people are getting Thomases in their barrel delivery set that have wonky eyes. And so I just wanted to say that I'm very glad that there are no printing issues on my Duck. Very happy about that. I would have been so upset if, a face for me is a make or break for an engine or release. And so if this face was wonky, printed very poorly, I definitely would not have been very positive about this engine, because a face is everything, gives the model character, really makes you feel like you have the character from the CGI series. So the face is good, but if you want to let me know when that started for Mattel and Fisher-Price, why they have printing issues nowadays. I don't remember it being that way when, they first took over. But anyways, taking a look at the front here, he does have a painted red buffer beam, which is good, the bare minimum. Black buffers, we have the coupling hooks in the middle. At least that's what they should be. And then let's take a look at Duck's GWR lettering. Very nice. I really do like it. I think it's so clean. I love that these engines have a matte finish, Very good. And by the way, I think this neon track is just showing why itself is just so ugly, right? I should not have Duck and this neon green clashing, right? Just a very ugly choice for the track. One thing I will say is that I do not like the rivets. I have never liked rivets on the Thomas characters ever. I think they are distracting. They don't look very good. You don't need them. Duck has plenty of detail without the rivets. Oh my gosh. Without the rivets. So not a fan of the rivets. That would go in the negative category. The number 8 on his side looks very good. As you can see, the cab window looks solid, clean. Doesn't have to be open. I don't really mind that, but that'd be amazing if it was. And so let's get a shot on the top of Duck. I could really even, nitpick even more and say he doesn't look wide enough. He's too narrow. His cab is too tall. Even though his cab is too tall, it's all right. It's not a deal breaker for me. I think this is a solid release. One thing I will not be kind to, though, is the rolling stock. As you can see, the truck is like warped, right? Like the edges are not straight. It just looks very cheap. It feels cheap. There's like no weight to this. If I go in, show you guys Scruffy, you see how it's like a perfect rectangle, right? Nice and sturdy. There feels like a weight to this truck, sturdy plastic, and this, you know, they can't even make the edges straight. And so it just feels cheap. I don't know. I really don't like the rolling stock. You know, I love plain wagons, but I think, you know, giving us some cool, troublesome trucks with unique faces is always better. So I would have liked to see some variation in the wagons. So for Thomas and Percy, they have a brown wagon and a green wagon. Nia has a yellow wagon with red wheels, and the Duck has a red wagon. So just not a lot of effort put into the rolling stock, that's for sure, right? Like you couldn't have put a face on a single one of these wagons and maybe put like a Sodor logo or, you know, Sodor Mining Company, Sodor Coal Car, just something, right? Some variation, some effort in the rolling stock. So while I like plain regular wagons, let's not make it every single one, right? Let's give one of these a face, one of these something that makes me believe that this is on the island of Sodor. So overall, rolling stock, lazy, but Duck is very solid. And now it is time to get out Tomy Duck and finally run this brand new Duck for the first time. I don't remember the last time I've ever ran a Mattel motorized engine. I don't think I ever have. But this is going to be fun and very interesting for sure. But it's also interesting that they chose to give Duck 2 AAA batteries. Now, let's also talk about one other thing. So do you see how small this motor is? How small this chassis is? Right? For a tender engine, it's not just going to be, you know, twice, 3 times the size. So this is just proof that these engines do not need to be this big, this fat, right? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear any defense of that. They don't need to be that big, that fat, when the chassis and motor is this tiny, okay? So just some food for thought. And by the way, I wonder why they never used C batteries in all these motorized engines. Any Tomy engine of that I have that runs on a C battery performs so much better than any other engine. So there was definitely room to just have Duck have a C battery. So interesting that they chose to go with 2 AAAs. One other thing people may have a problem with is the massive overhang, you know, the distance between his front wheels and his buffer beam. It is quite substantial when you look at the engine from the side. So, you know, with Duck in particular, I don't really have a problem with it because Duck does look very nice. So it's like, you know, Mattel took advantage of, you know, the extra space, I guess, with Duck. So with Duck, I don't have a problem with it. But when I review the other engines, I guess it's just going to be case by case. So Duck is working, and now it is time to get him on the track. So I'm not sure if anyone has compared these 2 engines in a video so far, but here is the Tomy Duck, brand new condition, and here is the 2025 Duck. 2 totally different companies, 2 different visions, 2 different types of motorized Thomas and Friends, but I think there are things you can pull from both Ducks to make the perfect motorized Duck. I think I'd take the funnel from the right one. I would take the original Season 2 face render from the left one. I would take the buffer beam from the left one. I mean, I think we can all agree that physical buffers are so much better. I think that is one thing I totally did not notice, is that these buffers are just painted on, and Tomy engines actually have physical buffers, which is so much better, as well as physical coupling hooks in the middle, as you can see. So I think front buffer beam and the face from the left one, funnel from the right one. I think I would take the cab height from the left one as well. Which color do I prefer? Honestly, I think I would prefer the one on the left because it just reminds me of Duck's color a lot more, I'd say. I think the actual green is going to be something in between these 2. I think it's fair to say that neither of these Ducks got the color 100%. But this Duck on the left is much closer to the Season 2 render. And then obviously, I mean, we have to realize that this Duck was being based off Season 2. This is being based off, you know, the Duck pre-All Engines Go, you know, during the Big World, Big Adventures era, I believe. So again, two different visions completely. Coal bunker, I think Tomy definitely wins this one as well. Back buffer beam, so much better. I think the back of Tomy duck looks much better than the 2025 duck. I really don't think that's a debate. So I think there are things you can pull from both of these ducks to make the perfect one. I think this one on the right might have, I don't know, I think he would have a better shape of just his body and tanks. So just this midsection I would prefer than this one. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think, yeah, I just prefer this midsection. I prefer this cab. I don't like that the switch is, you know, extruding into the cab, but this cab height, this midsection, this funnel, these buffer beams, this coal bunker, this face, this color, I prefer. I think, obviously, this was made in, you know, it's 1990 something. I forgot what year this Tomy duck is, 96 or 98. You know, I prefer the silver handrails, but I really like the simplistic look, so let's get rid of the rivets. I think the number 8 is too small. I think it could be bigger. Yeah, but I think that is an interesting comparison. Just look at how motorized Thomas and Friends has evolved. Again, two different eras, visions, you know, just everything, companies, everything pretty much. And here are the two products, you know, the first duck and then the most recent duck. So very cool. Now it's time to get them running. So I have Tomy duck waiting in a siding off to the side with Scruffy and a troublesome truck. I gave the brand new duck his red wagon and then a fuel tanker from the Tomy line. I have the switch set for him to, I guess we'll take him along this line. Let's go through the tunnel. I think that would be a cool shot. And so I guess without further ado, let's turn on a Mattel engine on a Mattel layout. I never thought I'd be doing this on the channel, but here we go. Let's see how Duck does on the incline. Slows down just a bit, but that's expected. I really thought something was going to derail there. But overall, a very nice runner. So I guess he really doesn't need a C battery. I guess the two AAAs work. One thing that I really do notice about Duck, and just, I guess I'll notice it about all of these engines, is that, yeah, the body shells for how small the chassis are is pretty jarring. It is very noticeable, and I just got a shot of the coal load from the back, and that, yeah, I mean, some of the negatives really are obvious here about the engine, but overall, still a very strong Duck. Yeah, a very good CGI Duck nonetheless. So I guess I will just make a cut here and give you guys a nice running session of this brand new Duck, and then I'll come back and test out the Tomy Duck. But still very cool that we get to have Colin the Crane overlook the brand new motorized Duck. We could have Colin load him with some cargo, but I really don't have any cargo for him to load up, so... Okay, so Duck does not do well. I guess none of the engines or rolling stock will do well going down the hill and going straight across the switch because this just moves so easily. And if the rolling stock wheel is at a certain angle or something coming down the hill, it just moves the switch. So that's pretty disappointing, to be honest with you, because I would love to have a nice train of wagons just go straight through, you know, over the hill, through the switches. So that's kind of a bummer, but it was pretty funny. You saw some bloopers there, but back to the running session. So I figured it would just be easier to flip the direction of the engine, but still kind of frustrating that you have to run the engine a certain way on some of these pieces. But, oh gee, this running session is not off to a good start. I took off the Tomy tanker. Let's see if that helps. I'm guessing it will. I hope it will. So here's Duck going up the viaduct, over the tunnel, back down. Let's see if any derailments happen. Nothing there. So maybe you really just cannot mix these rolling stock pieces. Let's see if it happens again here, though. I'm still not confident. Okay, it did not happen there. All right, so I don't think you can mix any of these brands on this track, especially with all these ups and downs and curves. There's just so much opportunity for derailment. So I guess we'll just have to keep Tomy rolling stock separate, which sucks because this new line just does not have any rolling stock. So that's pretty frustrating. I mean, that's honestly a big problem I have with this new line. There's just no rolling stock. Like, nice, I have a red wagon. Like, there's nothing Sodor about it. There's no face. Like, all right, so that is going to be it for the running session of the brand new Duck. I guess form your own opinions on this brand new Duck. You know what I don't like about it. There are quite a few negatives in terms of this new line in general that does affect this brand new Duck as well. And just along with, you know, the current state of motorized Thomas and Friends, I think a lot of it just doesn't have the charm of a working railway. You know, I mean, you all saw look in my Tomy Thomas and Friends playlist on my channel. You know, I made a layout. That feels like a working railway. You saw me recreate the 2005 Tomy Thomas and Friends commercial with all of my engines and pieces and destinations. You know, that feels like something straight out of the island of Sodor, straight out of classic Thomas and Friends, and straight out of a commercial advertisement. You know, I mean, I love that video. I love that commercial. I love what you can do with Tomy. I obviously think Tomy is miles better than anything Mattel motorized. But, I mean, this has a few positives, but overall, you know, the state of current motorized Thomas is just not really good. You know, after that running session, I'm a bit disappointed just in how everything feels and looks. But this Duck, still the best new engine by far. I mean, I guess the future reviews of these new engines are not going to be too positive because the engines only get worse from here. But I think I will be positive about the Greatest Moments pack, including Thomas and those 2 troublesome trucks. I think that should be a good one. That should be a good video. But then other than that, I really don't see any of the other engines and pieces being better than this release. And I don't think this track pack is helping because there's so many ups and downs, so many chances for derailments. But now it is time to run the Tomy Duck, which Tomy engines are not supposed to run on this track, so he's not going to do that well, but it's just for the content. You know, let's see how he does with 3 wagons. Tomy engines do have a rubber band, so he is going to have some traction. He just won't be as fast, and he might struggle up the viaduct, but he still does run, as you can see. Now that looks like a freight train. Now that looks like something out of the island of Sodor. That is amazing. We love that train. Oh, we got a derailment. Oh, as you can see, we did have a derailment there, but man, Tommy is just, I'm sorry, it's still the king, still undefeated. Just gorgeous. The rolling stock, even this duck is beautiful. We might have a derailment here. No, this time it worked. Very nice. Through the tunnel. Yeah, now that is classic Thomas and Friends. That is superb. Wow, 2 clear passes. Well, I guess that is going to be it for this video. Make your own opinions, I guess, about these new engines. Oh, geez. You know, the Tommy engines are not meant for this track, so that was just for fun. But I really don't think anything will ever beat Tommy, Thomas, and Friends. The rolling stock, the aesthetic, the fact that it feels like Sodor, it feels like Thomas the Tank Engine. It's just unbeaten. You know, the quality is there. The passion and effort was there in every single thing. It's just, it feels complete, whereas a lot of these Mattel items are just, you know, half-baked, you know, half effort, a lot of effort missing. You know, some things are done well, like some parts of this duck, and you can see, you know, you can see the light through the tunnel, but you just, you know, you never get to the end of the tunnel with Mattel and Fisher-Price ever. And so after this review, you know, it started off really positive, but I'm not too sure, you know. I think this track pack is nice for variety, but I think the amount of ups and downs when the engines are actually running, it's kind of distracting, and I guess I love a simpler layout. Anyways, so that is my review on the 2025 motorized duck. There are some positives, a lot of negatives though, but not all the negatives are about Duck himself, just mainly about the new line and Mattel and Fisher-Price in general with Thomas and Friends merchandise. But that's going to be it for this video. I want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.